The bookstore where we pretended to be strangers. Every Friday evening, Nathan Brooks, a 32-year-old lawyer, visited the same independent bookstore in Portland, Oregon. He never bought many books. He simply loved the quiet atmosphere, the smell of old pages, the soft jazz music, the rain tapping gently against the windows. It was the only place where life seemed to slow down. One Friday, while reaching for a novel on the top shelf, another hand reached for the same book. They both stopped. "I'm sorry," Nathan said. The woman smiled. "You take it." "No," he replied. "You saw it first." She laughed. "How about this? You read it first, then tell me if it's worth reading." Her name was Grace Miller, a 30-year-old graphic designer who escaped to the bookstore every Friday after work. The following Friday, Nathan returned. So did Grace. She smiled. "So, was the book any good?" Nathan grinned. "It was, but I think the sequel starts today." She raised an eyebrow. "What sequel?" "This conversation." Grace laughed. From that evening on, every Friday became theirs. They never exchanged phone numbers, never made plans. They simply trusted that somehow both of them would show up. Some Fridays they browsed mystery novels. Other Fridays they challenged each other to pick the worst book cover in the store. Sometimes they sat by the window sharing coffee while rain painted silver lines across the glass. One evening, Grace admitted, "I like that we don't text." Nathan looked surprised. "Why?" "Because it means every Friday still feels like a surprise." Autumn arrived. Leaves covered the streets in shades of red and gold. One Friday, Grace didn't come. Nathan waited until the bookstore closed. The next Friday, she still didn't appear. 3 Fridays passed. Nathan began to wonder if their story had quietly ended. Then one rainy evening, the bookstore owner handed Nathan a small envelope. "She asked me to give you this." Inside was a handwritten note. "I'm sorry I disappeared. My father became seriously ill, and I've been with him every day. If you still believe in Friday evenings, meet me at the bookstore on the first Friday of December." Nathan folded the note carefully. December finally arrived. Snow drifted gently outside. The bookstore glowed with warm lights and Christmas decorations. At exactly 6 o'clock, the front door opened. Grace walked in. She looked tired, but her smile was exactly the same. "I'm late," she whispered. Nathan shook his head. "I've only been waiting 3 Fridays." Grace laughed through tears. "I'm glad you waited." Months later, spring returned. Nathan invited Grace back to the aisle where they had first reached for the same book. On the shelf sat a brand new novel. Its title was Our Favorite Chapter. Grace opened it. The first page had been cut into the shape of a tiny heart. Inside rested a diamond ring. Nathan smiled. Every great love story deserves a perfect ending. Grace looked into his eyes and gently closed the book. "I don't want an ending. I want the next chapter." Nathan slipped the ring onto her finger. She whispered, "Yes." A year later, they were married inside that very bookstore after closing hours. Family and friends sat between the bookshelves. The bookstore owner served as the witness. Instead of throwing flower petals, guests tossed tiny paper bookmarks into the air. Above the entrance, a new wooden sign appeared. Some people search for the perfect story. Others accidentally become one. Every Friday evening, Nathan and Grace still visited the bookstore. Sometimes they bought books, sometimes they didn't, because they had already found their favorite story. It wasn't sitting on a shelf. It was walking beside them.